I love reading different versions of the Bible. So I would collect Bibles, as you can see on my bookcase. I have all different types of Bibles because. So I was on Facebook one day and I saw an ad for the Mormon Bible. And I thought, oh, I need to order the Mormon Bible because I don't have that. Thinking, of course, the Mormon Bible was different than any Bible that I had. So I called and a young lady answered the phone who to this day is one of my very best friends. And she took my order and talked to me about going to the conference, and I told her I wasn't interested because the Mormons were a cult, so all I just wanted was the Bible so I could study the difference in the Bible. And so she sent my order on to whatever they do, and the missionaries knocked on my door and brought to deliver my Bible. So my understanding of Mormons was based on what everybody told me, what everybody said. They're a cult, they're bad, they're not good. You know, but yet everything I'd ever seen was always goodness. I drove them crazy because after Mohantas said I gave him gray hair because I gave them such a hard time about questioning everything that they taught me. I wasn't moved by the Book of Mormon. I wasn't moved by the plan of salvation. And I understood what they were sharing with me, but that was not what moved me towards the church. It was what emanated from them. Elder Mohita, which was my baptizing missionary, said to me, "You don't have to believe what we are teaching you. Pray about it and measure the fruit." And I, to this day, take those words 6 years later and I apply them to my life every day. I pray about it and I measure the fruit of the people, of the situation, of myself. I took that so serious that I started measuring the fruit of my life. Like, what was I watching on TV? What was I reading? Like how I dressed or shows that I watched on television when I measured the fruits that were changed that I needed to look at. It wasn't the words, it wasn't the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon didn't make me change. I fought it for so long because I kept telling them, if it's not in the Bible, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what the Book of Mormon says. It's not bad. But then told me to share with me about it's the most correct book there is, or whatever that is. Oh, and that pissed me off. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I don't even want to talk to y'all because the Book of Mormon is not more important than the Bible. Okay, so go away from me talking about that mess. Um, but again, they left me with the most wise words possible. Don't believe us. Pray about it and measure the fruit. Even with all of the goodness that drew me, there was the negative, the roadblocks, the things that I read that were some of them were bogus and some of them were true. They were on point. I mean, they were real. You can't deny it. The racial issues were a big roadblock initially, and I was like, why would I want to join a church who doesn't even have respect for my race? That's crazy. Then I asked God, why would you want me to be member of a church that doesn't like black people? I mean, it was it was a challenge to say the least. And the missionary would give me an answer like, well, you have to consider time of the time it was. Slavery was rampant. It was the way life was at that time. So, it wasn't a matter of us of Mormons not liking blacks. It's because I forget what his answer was, but it was so bogus. It was like, okay, whatever. Okay, whatever you say. I'll take it. I'll pray about it and measure the fruit. And the fruit that I'm getting out of that is that there is an issue with racism there. So you can't talk past that. You can't get around it. But I'm not going to base what I'm looking for on that period of time. Every morning I do a Bible study. The first thing I do in the morning, and I know Barbara Town City, you maybe not even believe, but the first thing I do when I get up, after I grab my phone and I go to my Bible app and I read the verse of the day. And I asked the Lord, show me what this means to me. What do you want me to see about this verse? And that morning, I was doubting. I don't want to join this church. They don't like black people, and they're a cult, and all the things sound good, and they seem very sweet and nice, and they smile and me all the time, and they're so kind. But son, I don't think I'm gonna do this. So I opened my Bible app that morning. When I opened my Bible app, it was already on Galatians 1:10, and Galatians 1:10 says, "So who are you trying to please? Me, man. If you're trying to please me, you're not my child." I could no longer argue. I could no longer doubt. He made it very clear what I was supposed to do. And that was the day I decided to be baptized. But I did come to understand that membership with this church is spirit led. I don't even believe it's about the Book of Mormon. It's about anything. It's about Him. It's all about Him. And He brought me here. And He brought me here for His reason. And the things that people have concerns with about this church, some are very valid. But it goes far beyond that. And if you're not willing to submit yourself to Him, you'll never understand. You never understand, you never experience it. But if you are willing to submit and humble yourself to His guidance and His leadership, the blessings of being a Latter-day Saint are amazing. It's been challenging because I came into the church with an expectation that I shouldn't have. Put people on pedestals that I shouldn't have put them on. Somebody made a joke one day about the church is true, but the people aren't. And I took that to heart. Yeah, you're right. The church is definitely true, and the people are human. The race issues are no different in the church than they are in the world. Um, but they are there. But they're there. I understand. My understanding at this point, and what I feel that He has shown me at this point, is that they're there because the typical Latter-day Saint has no exposure to blacks. Very, very, very rare. Um, so there's that education lack. That's all you're used to is other white people. So you tend to draw to other white people. And you're not very comfortable in reaching out to black people unless you're a missionary reaching out to someone who you're looking to study with. And that is a very real problem in the church. I believe that the members would would benefit personally, and the church would benefit as an organization if there were more efforts made to interact with, to step outside of your comfort zone. How many times have you invited someone black to your home and you don't even think about it? And I believe that there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more of that willingness to step outside of your comfort zone and say, I don't hang out with black people. I never had a black person in my home or whatever. Sister so and so, hey, would you like to come for dinner Sunday? Or lunch? Or if you don't want the person in your home, meet them out somewhere. How can you get to know the person outside of their skin color if you're not willing to reach back. I lived it, so I can speak to it with passion, and it made a difference in how I was accepted in the church and how I accepted others within the church. And that was an example of living as Christ would live. He ate with people who were not Christians because he wanted to show them what love was all about. And that we need to do more of that in the church. We need to do more of, we walk around and show people how much we love Christ. That's what our church is about. But yet we don't do it within our church. We show the world, but we're not doing it to each other. So I know it can be done. You can put aside your insecurities or your doubts or your ignorance and become educated.